Hi and welcome to my channel. My name is Magnus, and today we're going to talk about the 4 I's principle. And this is something that is normally used in like finance, in procurement, when you purchase something, so you don't decide something solely yourself. It's like you plus your closest manager should be involved in all procurement. This is to protect the company and to protect yourself as well. And I think this is a good principle also when it comes to like installing new firewalls. Like if you're installing a firewall, when you do it from the first time, well, then you don't really know what you're doing. So you follow the guidelines and do step by step and try to take all the steps that you think is necessary. And of course you can miss something, and this is normally lack of experience. Like maybe it's not really documented as well as you think, or you need to look in multiple places to find how you should install something. Of course you can fix this by having like run books from the company, from like your senior staff that always create like a baseline, a run book that you can follow. And the more firewalls that you actually install, the more like skipping things you go your way. You take your installation way when you're installing something. And this can also be something that is, well, it's good in a way, but it's not always good, because maybe you miss something like ring sizes, you missed multi-queuing or whatever on the firewall that you're installing. And it's a lot harder to change something when it's taken into production than to do it before it's taken into production. I normally use this principle when I install a new cluster for our own environment. And this is only to make sure that I have included everything that I should have. Like it's a safety net, so I have some confidence about the cluster before it's going into production. Because it's important to have confidence about your own environment, so you know what happens if something like fail over or you're going to do an upgrade. So you want to make sure that everything is good. And one way to do this is to have someone else verify your work. You can of course run like an Ansible playbook and follow a baseline, but this takes some more, well, documentation, some more structure, and you need to have very similar things that you're actually going to put in this baseline or in this runbook to make it work. And just to give you like an example, during the last month we have installed a lot of new VSX clusters because we are moving a bunch of Cisco firewalls to Checkpoint. We are moving like, I don't know, 200 Cisco firewalls to Checkpoint. So it's a quite large project. And this also involving like installing multiple VSX cluster with multiple nodes. And sadly we experienced a few bugs, and these bugs, they more or less crash the cluster or they crash a node. And sometimes it even forced us to like reinstall a node. And we used a few of this cluster to use like a stage environment or test environment together with R&D to find out like what is this crashing actually causing by. And this also meant that we reinstalled like a cluster 3 or 4 times. So a few days ago I woke up and checking my phone, like checking the emails, what have happened during the night, and I also started to check my YouTube comments. And I see a comment regarding multi-queuing and someone asking me to create a video regarding multi-queuing, and I thought like, fuck, I have missed something, because we just recently finished like a project that has been going on for months, and this was using, well, it's going to use one of these clusters that we just reinstalled a bunch of times, and it was taken into production like the day before, and it's like, did we really check everything before we took it into production now? Did we miss something? So I woke up and I had a small heart attack, like 6 a.m. My brain didn't really work, so I did run to my office, or well, to the desk like 10 meters from my bed, and I did start to log into boxes and check like, have we done all the multi-queuing? How is the configuration set up for the interfaces? Are we using bonds? What are we doing? And after a short while I just realized like, in R80.10, Checkpoint has changed so multi-queuing is enabled by default. So also remember that stuff like this, they change between versions. So one part of like optimization, if you call it like that, is that Checkpoint actually improves the product to make it easier to live with and easier to work with. And a part of this is added into R80.30.10 with a 3.1 kernel, that multi-queuing is default enabled on 10 gigs interfaces. So it was like, we didn't fuck up. So I felt a lot of reliefs, and this is what I like with Checkpoint, and this is what I like with this type of vendors, that they improve the products to make it easier for us, a technician, to actually install them, to make it harder to fail. They also done similar changes to like IPS. Before it was like, yeah, should you have automated install after updates? Do you get like errors with your IPS database and so on? It was more common when it was like R75 and I had some issues, and now in R8010, R8030, R8040 it's working a lot better, and I haven't experienced this issue yet. So this is part of, let's call it optimization or improvement of the software core. It's not only adding new functions, it's like setting a standard and using stuff as default, because many customers are using it and it's something that greatly improves performance. But well, that was the story about having a baseline, and just make sure to actually check this before something is taken into production. So my recommendation to you guys is, when you install a new cluster, either you use like Ansible and a baseline and playbook and just push it out, or ask a colleague to just verify your work before it's taken into production, so you have confidence, you know what will happen if you do a service window when you do the next upgrade. And of course, remember to document everything that you changes that is not standard. So a part of taking a backup is of course taking like the configuration, but do you remember all the files that you changed? If you change a file, it's not sure that this is taken into the next version, or this function could be changed into next version. So make sure to document all the changes that is made on top of the default configuration. Yes, you have it documented, written down, and I mean write it down in a system, not in a Excel spreadsheet that no one knows where it is after 2 or 3 years, because you will need it after a long period of time when you're doing like major upgrades. So you need to make sure that everything is hunky-dory and everything is well as it's supposed to be. So you not only use the 4i principle for like finance stuff, use it when you're taking new things into production and verify that everything is fine. So I think this is it for this video. I hope you did like this sort of like Q&A, or maybe not Q&A, but at least information regarding how I see things. I think this is a good thing to have like a mixture between like step-by-step instruction and labs, and take some real-world experience and put it into this well, courses. I wouldn't call it courses, but this YouTube channel, so you gain some more value, even if you know how to install like well, a cluster or a VSX or something, so you get something more from real world, from a large environment. So thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Take care.